Yes.
So it's great to be here, talking about business. And I was like, okay, what do I know about business? So I think I know best how I get in the way of it. So we were just having a quick chat just now, how we go about this, and we would really like you to give us an idea of what you would like to hear, what it is you're interested in. So anything that comes to mind, what's fresh for you, or
And perhaps you don't know just yet, but please feel free to comment or ask questions, or if you got anything we might be able to answer for you. So when I heard that we were supposed to speak to this topic, I figured, well, the 3 principles in businesses, well, there are several sides to that. First of all, you could talk about what would it mean if you brought the 3 principles into a business? Like if, say, you were a CEO and you would need some help and somebody said, hey, have you tried looked into this direction, these principles, it might help you out. Well, how? Why would I do that instead of choosing all the other human resource management techniques and modalities? So that's one way we could approach it. Another way would be to say, how could it help me? Let's say I got my own business running, and it might not be coaching or therapy or anything like that, but how could it help me if I started to see more in this direction? Yeah? There's this strange alien UFO sounding noise. Could we kill it perhaps?
I think it's in the room over there.
yeah.
It's over there. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So that's another thing, like how could it help me? It's like talking back. It's really weird.
I had it earlier, I don't know what it is.
No? Okay.
It's
Coming from speakers.
It's universal mind.
Sorry?
Universal mind talking.
Yeah, in a pretty annoying voice, to be honest.
yeah.
I don't want to listen to that. Okay. So, and the last thing that just came to my mind would be to ask the question, well, how can I work with the principles in a business setting? Or in just any setting where I could make a living out of working with the principles?
I mean, sharing the principles. Yes.
Yeah. Selling them for loads of money. However we go about it, yeah? So that would be another approach. And you feel free to ask or whatever, comment, or, because we don't know what's on your mind right now.
Why would you think you were chosen to discuss 3 principles with regard to business specifically as opposed to relationship? Or have you done a bit of everything? I don't know. I assume that there was...
The reason?
Yeah.
Well, I've done a bit of everything. Last year I talked about relationships and well-being.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest.
Okay.
So we'll see how it goes. Yeah. So, would you like to start out?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Please do.
Okay, so when I came across the principles, I think within probably a few days, it got very, very clear to me that I couldn't be doing anymore what I was doing before. I was sort of working outside in big time, although I was doing alternative therapies with people, I was doing massages, helping people. I was big time into crystals then. I was doing really powerful crystal healing sessions, but I noticed that the real thing that actually made people better was the shift that comes through giving ourselves back to life and the powers that are coming through life. And when I saw the principles at work, I just couldn't be doing the things anymore that was just sort of on the surface, trying to change the form. I just knew I wanted to work with the principles. So I took on a loan and I took some time off. So I allowed myself to just travel to the UK, and I was living in Spain at the time. Traveled to the UK to many events and did some training, and then eventually I had Jack Pransky over coming to Spain, or Sue and Sheila and I, we organized that many times, so I had a lot of opportunities to keep learning about that. And all the time while I was doing that, I started to share a bit here and share a bit there. And I was first of all working a lot in English through Skype and doing work online from Spain. And half a year ago, I made the move back to Berlin. So I'm in Germany now. So since half a year, I'm in a totally new market, starting off from scratch and sort of starting to speak to people that I've never met before about the principles and things like that. So I was reflecting on what is it I know about business, right? So in the past, I was working for Deutsche Bank, so I have quite a good background of leadership even, and working in offices and leading people. And I feel like I've sort of grown into that position now from a different angle. So I sort of was in a normal world of, working in businesses. And then I fell out of it through my story, that I shared yesterday a bit, how sick I became and all that, sort of lost everything, and now come around through a new approach with the principles through the back door and find myself that I'm able to use the skills that I learned in the past now to the benefit of sharing the principles. And I think the biggest learning is probably through the understanding of the principles itself was that I started to see the most powerful thing I could be doing in this sharing is really to be me. Like the most authentic, real Katja who cocks up all along the way is the one who actually is most appealing to people who get interested in this. And every time I get into playing some sort of role that I want to be perfect and want to be, able to share this, then I actually walk against walls. So for me, the essence of this is actually through the essence of understanding the principles. Because with the principles, we learn to get out of our own way, to see through our own insecurities and to see through the limitations we make up with our own thinking. So that's sort of the essence of what I could be talking about, right?
Question on that, Katie. So you've moved to Germany, so you're in a completely new environment. Obviously, you come from Germany originally, but you're back there, so you don't know anybody. How do you get the clients?
Well, I'm having one conversation at a time. I just walk along through life, so to say, and whenever I have a chance to get in touch with somebody, I just have a conversation. And I invite people into having a conversation about this. And I do activities like I've started a meetup group. So I have regular meetings. I do like info evenings where people just come, and I come up with some titles like, simply living better or something like that. And sometimes it's just one person that comes. Just one person, but they tell me they got so attracted by this title that they had to come. They had no idea what they were in, for. But they just come, and so I take every opportunity I have to just have that conversation, and I stop trying to push this down people's throats, which I did for a while. When I was really excited at the beginning about the principles, I sort of tried to tell everybody about this in a very sort of, I'd say, overexcited manner, and I wasn't heard very well. And I learned a big lesson also with friends. Lots of friends sort of didn't want to know. Said, is this a cult or what is it you're talking about? So I really learned the hard way to be very, very patient, be very, very gentle, and mainly listening. I mean, it's Jack's, or the credit goes to Jack that I learned listening from him, because I was talking mainly, and now I'm mainly listening when I meet people. And then once they start to get interested and they ask me, I have permission then to share things. That's when they hear something.
Yeah, that permission word is quite important.
Yes.
When people are prepared to accept what you've got to say.
Yeah, so it's really one conversation at a time. And sometimes it's magic how quickly that leads to somebody signing up. So I'm running a school of life, and it's got 2 phases. It's like there's the personal well-being is the first phase, and the second phase I'm about to start going into with the next sort of generation of school or class. It's about the professional side of sharing the principles. So I'm actually making it up as I go along. So I was just inspired that I felt like when I came to Germany, I didn't want to build my business like this, like a high, sort of just building it on my own clients and that, but I rather felt inspired to build it like that, to sort of start sharing with people who want to be sharing as well, and then grow together. And I'm very lucky because I actually, 5.5 years ago nearly, I was inspired to contact Jack and say to him, can I have a German copy of Somebody Should Have Told Us? Or if there is none, can I translate it? And I did. It took me a long time, but it's now I've got the first German resource that I'm really, really happy with. And, so I've got a book to give to people. That's so helpful. And there's another book out now that's Michael Neal's Inside Out Revolution. We also have that in German. People start coming through that as well. And they sort of find me somehow through the jungle of the internet and then get in touch and say, can I have a conversation? Or they book themselves on. It's the first time actually I had the last couple of days, suddenly people came out of the blue too, and more or less in the same moment wrote me an email and booked themselves onto the next workshop. And I have no idea who they are and where they came from. So that's the first. So I'm starting to put lots of seeds out there. And they seem to take off slowly, but surely. Yeah.
I figured I wanted to share my story, which is a bit different, because well, the point of it is a bit different, but I think it's quite valid. And when I used to work in a completely different business, like I originally studied religion at university, and then I came into I worked with computer games for a number of years. So that was a different ball game. And then at one point it was like I was choking in that environment and all that corporate business. So it was just enough. And the company I worked in went bankrupt, so I got out. And then I just had the feeling that I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to get back in. I had absolutely no clue what to do. So what do you do when you don't know what to do? Well, either you start searching and seeking like frantically, or you're just gonna wait and see what appears. So the later is the more reasonable choice I later came to see. But so I picked the first one, right? So I search high and low, like is this it? No. Is that it? No. So I trained as a mindfulness like trainer, I guess you call it, and I worked with coaching and worked with some NLP and all kinds of modalities. And it was great, and it was good fun, and it was interesting, but it never really hit home. So I tried it, but it didn't work, and blah, blah, blah. And then eventually I came across this understanding that we talk about here. And I thought, wow, this is exciting, because first of all, this is brand new. Nobody around, I didn't know anybody who knew of this. And I thought, well, this, first of all, I can feel this is just, it's going to change things around here. And I saw it in my wife. And the second thing I thought was, well, how can I make a living out of this? So on one hand, I really saw a profound change, and I really saw it was helpful. And on the other hand, my brain was beginning to think, oh, I could make money out of this. And I didn't quite see what was going on behind the scenes, so I figured, yeah, that sounds reasonable. But it soon turned out that it was not quite as easy as I figured it would be. So I'd go out and start sharing the principles. And I would make some workshops, and I would make a website and say, hey, come here and I'll talk to you about this. And sometimes it would go great, and sometimes it would be kind of a disaster. And sometimes like we'd have quite a few people coming, but often it was just like 2 or 0. So it was very, couldn't figure out how to navigate this stuff. So I saw a lot of videos and tried to figure out how do I navigate this business world. And then somebody said, hey, you gotta get into businesses, right? If you can share this understanding in businesses, you're gonna make loads of cash. I said, yeah, true purpose. No, but really, I needed some money. So I thought, yeah, okay, that sounds great. And actually, very, very effortless for some reason. I came in contact with the business, and we signed a contract, and everything went very smoothly. And it was a done deal, and we were cheering and toasting. And then, like a couple of weeks later, some nice lady rang me and said, oh, I'm sorry, Jacob, but we just canceled it all. And wow, okay. So it was very, and I had no reason really why, but the point of the story, I guess, is that I tried to figure out what to do. I tried to work my mind and plan ahead and use my intelligence, my personal intelligence to try to figure out how do I go about this in the most clever way. Yeah, and it never really worked. And I think the reason why it never worked was because I never had my heart into it. So it sounded like a great idea, and the website looked great and everything, but when at the end of the day I had no energy in it really. So it wasn't like I thought, yeah, wow, I'm really looking forward to this. So on some level, if I was really being honest with myself, I didn't really want to do it. It sounded like a great idea, and people around me would confirm me, but I didn't. So eventually I kind of threw in the towel and said, okay, I quit. Because it's not that I don't like talking with people and working with this understanding, but apparently I can't figure out to get anything working like on a more like regular basis. So I figured, okay, what to do? I had no clue whatsoever. So I just stopped. And since then, things have been more, it's not like it's just what you call it when you just sail away and it's just smooth sailing, I guess you call it in English. But it is much, much easier to navigate when you just go with the flow. When it just, this feels right and this doesn't feel right. And gee, I would actually like to talk to these guys over there. And perhaps I can't really see where it's going, and there might not be any money involved or anything at first, but it doesn't really matter, because if it feels right, they want to hire me for something, because we connect. Or perhaps we don't, but it doesn't matter. If it feels right, it's not wasted time, at least. So there's something about going with the flow, which, if you've asked me before, I said, yeah, go with the flow. That's a good idea. Yeah. So I would know about it, yeah, and if you ask me, I would say, please go with the flow. But I didn't really practice what I preached. And not until nothing really worked, it was like, I kind of had to go with the flow, because sailing upstream just sucked. It didn't work. And I guess that this is basically what you're saying as well, what I hear in your story, like listening to what is going on and following that flow. And I really believe that it goes for any business or any endeavor, really. Whether you work with principles, whether you work with whatever you do. You see a happy leader, you see a happy company, right? You see there's flow and there's joy and people are excited and they're creating positive stuff. And so no matter, you can't say, oh, it doesn't apply over here. They're better off being pissed and stressed. It makes no sense. Yeah? So, whether you see this in yourself or whether you go out and help people look in this direction, I think will be tremendously helpful. The going with the flow. And it might sound like some old hippie shit. But you know what I mean, like, oh yeah, that's a beautiful idea, follow your heart. Some people will completely shut off if you use that lingo, that terminology. But it doesn't matter, the truth behind it is still the same. Yeah. I don't know if that was a point, but just okay, that's good.
To me, it also makes total perfect sense. I notice the difference in the responses I get. You know, according to the level of being in the flow, or also being authentic and me, because there's some sort of feeling that gets transmitted in these conversations about I mean, there's no words for this, but the way I explain it to myself is that people must feel something, that there's something there for them, and the way that gets displayed best is really when I just be me, really. I made the best contacts just traveling on the train, for example, you know, sitting on the train, and I was on my phone, and at that time I hadn't figured out how to switch off the noise while I was typing, so it was like duck, 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 duck. You know, the guy next to me was on his phone as well, but I said, I'm sorry, you know, I don't know how to switch this off. So we started the conversation, and I mean, he really became a client, and he became my lawyer. He's doing my divorce now and things like that. We really see each other like every week or even every other week, just because of this chance conversation, right? So I'm just going with what feels easy, what somehow is fun. You know, Gabriela's always on to what's fun. You know, what do I enjoy? And then sometimes you get into some sort of sticky areas where you feel it's really hard work, and I just drop it then. I'm just not willing to put this sort of effort in there anymore. I just stop and allow myself to take a break, and I either get a new thought that sort of brings me back into the flow with it, or I just let it be there for a while. And there was this phase I had. There was a way of advertising online, right? So you can put your events in there and invite people to a session, or invite them to a workshop or something like that. And for a while I was doing that from just, oh my God, this is fun, I'm doing this. And I had so many likes and so many responses from it. That was amazing. So I thought, oh great, I know now how to do this. Well, as soon as I thought that, I thought I was doing the same things. I was still using a fancy photograph and a juicy title. No responses. And I thought, what the hell is going on? I thought now I know how it works. But the things that I'm doing spontaneously, that are coming from, oh, I could try that. Oh, that's fun, you know, I'm trying something new. I get the responses. So I really noticed that the secret seems to be in, and I don't quite understand it yet, right? But the secret lies in not thinking. The secret lies in allowing what comes through this flow to sort of manifest in something that becomes visible. And I think that's a real key, is it's about becoming visible somehow. Giving people an opportunity to actually feel something, to be drawn to it. I mean, this is marketing, right? This is like the what we would call the typical marketing thing, but I'm now approaching it from, how can I serve people? You know, I'm not thinking about marketing, because when I do, I get stuck. I hate it. But when I think about, how can I reach people? How can I find people that I can help to get that smile on their face, right? So I sort of started to approach it from a different angle, and it seems to be going easier. And it's still slow, but it's still step by step, but it's going in the right direction, and I can feel it. And the one thought I had when I came to Germany, I thought, okay, well, we're all new. There's hardly anybody knows about this. We have 3 coaches in the whole of Germany who work with this professionally. And we have a 3P Germany group, and there's about 40, 45 people in there, so it's really hardly anything. So I thought, okay, well, so imagine you've got something that everybody wants. Let's say that people would want to hear about this because it's such a great thing, right? So I thought, okay, Katja, so what is it you would have wanted when you first heard about this? That was my thought. And what came from that was, oh, I wish somebody would have been with me along the journey to help me avoid all the misunderstandings that were coming. When I first came across this, you know, I had 3-4 days of being totally enlightened. And then I couldn't quite feel it anymore, so I went back searching, and it was for 3 months I was lost again. So I wish I'd been somebody there who sort of said, Katja, you don't need to search, right? It's just in the heart, it's already there. And when you don't think about it, it'll come back to you or whatever, you know. But there was misunderstandings I was falling into. So I had those thoughts, and I thought, oh, I want to be there for people. I want to create something where when they found this and when they had a first little impact, be bigger or smaller, but I just thought, I want to help people while they are in life, going along with what they were doing in life, and I wanted to be there for them. And that's how this sort of appeared. So next thing I find myself on my computer creating the web pages, right? So I thought, oh, School of Life sounds good. Oh, 3 weekends, and I started creating a program which is now something I really run, with the first generation started in June, the next generation is starting in February. So, and I couldn't believe how the whole thing came about totally easily. So without much thinking, it just happened. And suddenly people got interested. And then I was still traveling backwards and forwards to Spain at some point when I started all this off. And the thing that happened was that I got into my head about how the hell am I going to market that now? How do people find this and all this? So one day I landed in Berlin and I get like phone calls. Okay, Katja, can we talk with you about this? So it's sort of, they come to me now. And I have no idea how that worked. So I can't really replicate it. So it's just like you allow yourself to sort of follow that. It's a shame we don't have a bit more time now. But
Yeah, it's pretty short, yeah. But the gist of it is really like, we can work it out and we can try it and it sounds good in my head, etc. And if it works for you, that's wonderful. Nothing wrong with planning ahead, but there's just an ease and an effortlessness in letting go and see what's showing up. And just a last thing, and I know we'll no time to do really quick. One of the things I see most often when I work with clients, and I know from my own life, when they come to me and say, you know what, I hate my job, I want to quit, I want to pursue my dreams, and I got this vision, a web shop, I want all these awesome things. The first question to ask is, do you want that to get the hell away from something, or do you want to get over there because you would actually enjoy that? Because 9 out of 10 times, and that includes my own life, we make up the dreams because we feel stuck and we feel our life sucks. So if I could just get that life, then I would get all the good emotions. And that's just not a good guiding tool. The dream life, the dream job, the easy money, work from home, when I got that, I will feel happy. No, it doesn't work that way. It will fail most of the time. So that's just a way to start out. What do you actually want? Not what do you want to get away from. They're two different things altogether. Very different things.
Yeah.
That was a short session, but time's up. But thanks for being here.